I am so sick of people playing the wrong sides. Be a team player.
I'm so scared.
All right. The moment is finally upon us. I am so excited right now. I could literally just jump up and scream of joy. We have our latest version of a debate. Today, we've got Lea Jansen taking on Erik Tice. They hate each other. They want to rip each other's faces off. They've been screaming and yelling all day at each other, texting each other curse words and mean things and insults. Just kidding. We're getting along. We're keeping it friendly here. It's going to be a nice discussion, a nice debate. Lea, Erik, thank you guys so much for hopping on and doing this. How are you guys doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Chris?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited for this. Erik, how about you?
I'm excited for this too, for sure.
Let's go. All right, cool. So we got some topics we're going to get into. We got a few topics, so we're going to keep the answers short. I'm going to kind of drive the ship. I'll, alternate turns here. And we're going to go through one topic at a time. Try to keep the answers to like 1 to 2 minutes. And then we'll just go from there. And if you guys want to jump in, if you're like, oh my gosh, I disagree wholeheartedly and I got to say something, then jump in. I'm totally okay with that.
So can you mute people?
I can, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So if you
if
don't
Erik
agree,
is just going off on you while you're trying to talk, I'm just going to mute him. Same vice versa.
because on that Around the Horn show, he like mutes or like takes away
if you just have a bad opinion, I'm going to mute you.
Yeah, just do
it. if we could do, I don't even care if it's me. It's like, whatever. That would be so hilarious.
I just muted him right there. There you go. See? There you go. All right, let's get into it.
This is the new and improved forgiveness. Forgiveness is more than saying sorry. I'm sorry. Forgiveness.
I'm not sorry I took the money.
Our first topic coming up. Everybody wants to know about this. Lea, I think you have probably the most interesting perspective on this. I want to talk about the latest trades. We got Riley Newman and cash. Nobody knows how much cash, but Riley Newman and cash for your old teammate, CJ Klinger. Lea, who do you think won this trade?
Depending on what New York does, New York is cleaning house right now. I think they're smart in the fact that they didn't win, so they're going to go make some money. So I think it's kind of like a twist. Columbus doesn't want to pay. They've proven that CJ's an upstart guy. He's going to cost them $0. Riley underperformed for his draft stock and is a hefty bill. And then I think New York really made some cash off of a good asset. And I think they're going to keep Jack, and Jack and CJ's chemistry was just proven not to work. And so I think they're either going to drop somebody, and I think it might be Riley, and use that money for the draft to find a good partner for Jack.
Yeah.
So I say a split depending on what New York does.
Okay. I am going to miss the chest bumps between Jack and CJ. R.I.P. the chest
I wouldn't
bumps.
even call them those.
The
Erik connects.
Yeah. Erik, thoughts on that? Do you agree? Do you disagree anywhere? Do you think there's a clear winner here?
Yeah, I had Columbus coming out a little ahead, maybe a B+ for them and a B- for New York. But to Lea's point, we don't really know who won. I don't think anybody can know who won because we don't know how much cash is involved, right? When Riley gets sent, he's owed, in order to keep Riley, they have to pay $275,000 to the league. They also, to keep Jack, they have to keep that. So that's the most by far New York has to pay right now for 2 players. They're obviously not going to do that. I don't have as much, obviously I don't have as much insight as Lea into the New York Hustlers since
I don't have any insight. I found out about the trade. I found out about the trade via Lucy Kovalova saying, how about them trades? And I was like, what? And then I looked at Instagram.
Okay. So I take back Lea having more insight than me. I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped both of the guys, to be honest, because it's so expensive. And with the draft not having those free dollars anymore, I think even the good guys are probably not going to go that high. So that's just my take, but I agree mostly.
Yeah, interesting. I guess there is a lot riding on the cash portion. If it's like $1, that still counts as cash, you know? Versus
Yeah, I
like
rumors are that it's
really-
definitely 6 figures.
okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, then I really think it's a win for both teams in the fact that they got rid of that salary. CJ's upstart ties, and the big thing for Columbus is he's $0, and he's a good player. He's great value for that.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well, then moving on, similar subject. We got another trade involving the New York Hustlers. Who do we think won this one? It was Vivien Glossman and cash for Jackie Kawamoto. Erik, we'll start with you this time. Who do you think came out on top of this one?
This one is a little more decided for me, unless there was a ton of cash involved. Like the max amount of cash that can be involved is 200,000. I don't think it was that, but I don't know how much cash was involved again. But if we're, let's just say it's somewhere around 50 to 100. I don't know. Either way, I think the Hustlers definitely win this one. Jackie's very good. Like very good, but she is a bit expensive on the female side at 100. In order to keep her, you have to pay 142,000, right? And so her and Rachel make a really good team. So I like that for that perspective for DC. But on the New York side, you're getting Viv Glossman, who is free, actually free, does not cost you any money for the next 2 years to roster her. She's obviously a top 15, 21, whatever that is. And to have those 2 years of having her for $0 makes a ton of sense to me. So I think the Hustlers win this one.
Okay. Lea, I saw you almost fall back in your chair at Erik's take there. What do you got to say about this?
Because I thought he said it was a big win. I thought he said something different before. That's why I said that. I personally think this is a huge win for the Hustlers. If you are looking at prospects of who could possibly be, that next Anna Bright something girl, the only question mark Vivien Glossman ever had was, does she want it? Like, I remember seeing her at her first tournament in May when she played with Anna Bright, and I was like, that girl is legit. She's awesome. She's going to be great. But then it was kind of like, did she want it? And then being on DC last year, you saw a huge improvement. And I watched her a lot at the Masters this year with Jackie, and Vivien was a force. And it was not going through Vivien really where the success was on that team. And I really felt like Rachel and Vivien were a great women's team. I think Vivien struggled a little bit in mix, but that's just more confidence. I'd rather teach somebody to get up to the kitchen line by just getting a lot of reps, because you can't teach what Vivien has in power, reach. She's a tall 6-foot girl who moves well and has athleticism and hands. So I think this is a huge win for New York. She's $0. I think the upside is much higher. And I personally have a question mark whether Jackie and Rachel will be better than Viv and Rachel, just from a pure firepower standpoint. But they're going to be a solid team, and this is 1 game to 11. But overall, I think this is a huge win for New York. I do think I'm going to be traded, but I would love to play with Vivien Glossman, because I think we would be pretty dominant if we could work. We would have to work together and work some stuff out.
Well, interesting that you bring up potential trades, because that's what I want to ask you guys about next. I guess, Lea, we could keep rolling with you here. What do you think is the most probable trade that we have not seen yet? Is there anything that you could think of, whether it's with the Hustlers or maybe a different team out there that you're like, yeah, you know what? I could see them making this kind of trade right here.
I think it's Lea Jansen for maybe someone on the squeeze, maybe the woman on the squeeze, or one of them, or there's a few other teams I think, but I definitely think New York's just cleaning house, and they're looking around for stuff. I honestly have no idea, which I shouldn't, and I'm glad I have no idea. I'm glad they're following that protocol. So yeah, I honestly, I foresee myself be like every minute I'm looking down at my phone, just thinking like, oh, is it coming yet? But not in a bad way. I just think I have some trade value, and I do think I'm up on the trading block.
Yeah, you're like, oh, just another text from Lucy. Wait, what trade? Oh no.
No, Corey would call me. Corey would call me. He's cool. I love Corey.
Okay. There you go. Erik, what do you think? Any trades you can think of that you might see?
Yeah, I want to add to Lea's, and then I'll add my own. In my preview articles about this, I definitely think Lea has one of the highest trade values, just because she only costs like $77,000 to keep, as opposed to
Which
some
is
of these other women.
why they should put me and Vivien together. We could be a dominant women's team for so cheap.
That is true. You do make a valid point. But because she's cheap-ish compared to other top-level women, and I do think the side-out scoring makes Lea even more valuable in a trade situation, because she can play both sides probably better than most women, right? And so being able to play both sides, you know, in MLP, we've been stuck the last 2 years of like, oh, who's your left side woman and who's your right side woman? And so you kind of get very specific there. And now with side out scoring, you don't necessarily have to, and being a little bit more versatile makes you a little bit more valuable in my mind. But my like trade that I think is probably going to happen, that I haven't seen happen yet, and I have zero insider information on this. This is just me speaking into the universe. I'm actually stealing this one 100% from my boy Matty Pickles. We did a preview of the trades, but when he said it, I was just like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. So here's my trade. I think Carolina, although I don't know who's running that ship right now, because Dave Fleming just announced he's not running, he's not the GM anymore. So I don't know who's making decisions there, but Carolina trades Caitlyn Christian to the Las Vegas Night Owls for Zoe Wong, and they give Las Vegas cash. We get Zoe Wong with Brooke on Carolina. They play together. Lea hates my answer already. Love this.
No, I just I'll wait.
Okay. And then Zoe gets to play with Brooke and possibly Ben, and people make comparisons of Zoe to the female version of Ben Johns all the time. So that was one that I liked.
Lea, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I do. I just don't think that team is willing to spend money. So I don't think they're going to go and spend money on a not top 10, like a not like they're. I don't think Zoe and Brooke are going to be a guarantee. Zoe is a question mark on the right side in mix. I don't think she would play with Ben. I think they would keep Brooke there. So yeah, I mainly from a pure capital standpoint, I don't think that trade's happening.
Yeah, that particularly makes sense. And Chris, like, just to talk about this a little more, is like, I wanted to say this earlier in the pod, but it's really hard to like make or help try to make these decisions, or like I'm struggling here really bad. Predict these decisions when we don't know how much capital each team has and what they're willing to spend, right? Like I think I know a couple of teams that are willing to spend whatever. And I definitely think I know some teams that are not spending anything. And then there's a whole bunch in the middle. So it's that part makes it really tough.
I just think Utah and Carolina are not going to spend, and I don't think Columbus will spend. Yeah. So I mean, I guess I just have a little more insider knowledge on that, but yeah, that's the main reason why I don't think so. But I could foresee, you know, it just kind of seems like the Hustlers are the main ones really like making moves right now. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been interesting that they've been kind of the central focus point of off-season moves.
Corey's a great GM.
Yeah, he seems to be. Well, keeping on the off-season talk with MLP, every team has to drop a player, one of the 4 that they had. So, you know, some of the teams, it's a little bit more obvious than others. But who do you guys think is going to be the best player that gets dropped? Out of all the players that we see that will get dropped, which of those do you think is going to be like the most shocking, the best talent, maybe as a move to drop them and get them a little bit cheaper, or just because they're too expensive and they can't keep them? Who do you guys think that's going to be? We'll start with Erik on this one.
Okay, I'm going to go with I feel like is the easiest answer. I could be wrong. I think it's James Ignatowicz. If DC doesn't make any more moves, these are the 4 players. James is 250 to keep. Rachel's 165. Jackie's 142. You just traded for her, so I don't know why you would drop her. That wouldn't make any sense. And Declan is only 76,000. That leaves Declan and James as like the options because they're definitely not dropping Rachel. Declan was super consistent throughout 24 and literally cost 3 times less. And Declan is a little more versatile in my mind in terms of he can play both sides a little bit better. Like he's a little bit more on the right than James. James doesn't play the right very often. And if DC wants to run it back, then run it back. Just drop James and pick him up early in the auction draft if that's what you want to do. And like I said, I think they might be able to get him for a little bit cheaper. So I think it's James Ignatowicz.
Sounds fair to me. Lea, what do you think?
You think that's the best player currently that's going to get dropped on the men's side?
We could have
name-wise maybe, but prefer,
yeah. I was going more for like dollar value, but I see your point right away. Yeah.
I think the best overall player on the men's side that's getting dropped is Augie Guff. I think Augie is improving. I think he's super solid. I think he can step in and play a few singles points. He's getting better at mix for sure. He's always solid in men's. He was very proven in the postseason last year at crunch time. So I think for him, and I think on the female side, I think there might be a world where Mari Humberg gets dropped if Will House figures out his UPA contract. And I think Mari brings a lot to the table. And I think that's just mainly from a standpoint of like, they were a great team. I think Zane's the leader on that team. Will is like a really good player. And obviously Anna Lee, you're not giving her up. So
they're going to drop Anna Lee.
And same with Augie, like he's just on a great team as well. So I think it's those two, and obviously Kate as well. So I think those 3 are just going to be pretty big commodities in the draft.
Yeah, man, it's so tough if you're a team with 4 good players. It's like, who do you drop? The Flash. It's like that's such a tough position, but I think you might be right on that. Erik, you had something to say?
Yeah, sorry. If Lea went first there and she chose James, then I was going to also say Will if he didn't get his contract taken out, because Will is a high level player for me, and even though he's cheap, I think he would have been one of the better players also that got dropped.
Yeah, and he's great value too if he stays around.
Yeah, for sure.
Good stuff. All right. Well, you guys kind of brought it up. There's a big change in MLP this year. We are now going to side out scoring, which means that players are going to have to switch from the left side to the right side, depending on what the score is. So we're going to see some stacking, stuff like that. So, I mean, it's been a classic debate subject. What do you guys think? Side out or rally scoring? What do you prefer? Lea, we can go to you.
Rally. And I don't think changing to 1 game to 11 is like leaving anything up for the subjective thing. Like it's MLP. It is rally scoring. It's back and forth. We're getting used to it. It's part of MLP. I think it's so lame. I think it's better for the viewers. Yeah. So I am not a fan of it, and I'm not a fan of playing 1 game to 11.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. Erik, what do you
At
think?
that point, let's just go like play a team tournament.
I think if I had to guess, I think this decision was motivated for betting purposes, at least slightly, because with rally scoring and the freeze, it basically makes you closer games artificially.
Yeah.
And so setting lines there is very, very, very difficult for the sports gambling community. And I think we want the gambling in, but also that adds so much value to like the fan experience and like the entertainment value, like this close match, I mean, how many times did we get to 2 points a game or whatever, and so I kind of like the rally. And the only reason I'll say that I like the rally is because it helps us get to possibly betting in MLP. And on the podcast with Samin and Thomas and Zane, Samin did say this is not like a permanent thing. They're going to revisit it if they don't like it.
Of course, it's not permanent. Of
Yeah.
course.
Well, that's
of
fair.
course. Like we can never keep the same set of rules. It's impossible.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, what has stayed the same? Yeah, man.
I also one
Okay.
other thing, sorry. I do like the addition of stacking and unstacking in MLP because it adds a little bit more little bit more strategy. You can unwind, you can not unwind. There's a couple of players that really stick to not unwinding and it drives me crazy. So please don't do that while you're in MLP. You know who you are. Just unwind the stack. If Matt is running around unwinding the stack at 47, you can also unwind the stack.
Fair enough.
I totally agree to that.
Yeah, I'm definitely a little bit disappointed myself that there's no rally scoring. It makes me wonder, what if pickleball originated as rally scoring? Would we be saying this? You know, I think it's because this was kind of like the second version that we all feel weird about it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Yeah, it bummed me out. Hopefully that's one of those changes that doesn't stay permanent, like Samin said. All right, let's move on. We're going to go into some PPA stuff. This has been a topic that has been discussed for the last few weeks, and I just get people on both sides arguing each way. So we all saw what's been called the shot heard around the world. Ben Johns tried to, as Colin Johns put it, peg Kwong Duong. What do we think about pegging, specifically with Ben's shot? Do you think something like that went a little too far? Do you think that that's okay? You know, just go for it. It's all in pickleball. Erik, we can start with you on this one. We'll start with, what do you think about Ben's shot? Was that too far, or is he in the right to do something like that?
Okay, first of all, I have no idea why Colin was so comfortable saying the word pegging 7 billion times. I'm not going to say pegging. I'm going to say body backing because I just don't like saying that word. So from now on, I'm calling it body backing. Body bagging is for sure a strategy and play in pickleball. I don't think that players should really ever be going from low to high with an intentional body bag. In the pro game, like I know, I think Colin said it, there's kind of an unwritten rule about that. And I tend to agree with that. Like when somebody gets hit in the face, we're going to have some very serious consequences. So my thoughts on Ben's shot.
Who's gone a face shot yet? Who's gone a face shot yet? Okay, so I think everyone's playing by unwritten rules then. Sounds good.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay.
Now
Colin
with
doesn't.
the Ben thing. With the Ben thing. I rewatched that entire match and I definitely don't think that was the ball Ben should have done that on. Is Kwong's style of play maybe a little annoying for Ben and Colin? For sure. I mean, he speeds up a lot and a lot at the body. I didn't see anything crazy where like it was above like chest height ever. And it just seemed like Ben got frustrated and hit from low to high. And I don't really like that. And I thought at first live that it hit the net and then went, but I've heard multiple times that it didn't. And it basically almost hit a lady in the stands that was like 10 feet up above the video. It's like
her head.
I mean, it was just low to high. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
So well, yeah.
Lea, so it seems like, Lea, you're on board with this quote unquote unwritten rule, but do you think that there needs to be like an official rule at all? If that's kind of deemed like you did that on purpose, something like in MLB, like in baseball, if somebody's aiming for somebody's head and the ref is, or the ump is like, oh, that was intentional, you get kicked out for that, you know, and it's kind of like the ump's discretion. Do you think they should do something similar?
Yeah, I mean, I hate like, you know, creating more subjective rules, but I played Kwong multiple times and he just kind of plays one way. Kwong doesn't think about the other person on the other side. He's just kind of in his own zone. He's trained to play one way and he does that. And it's pretty consistent. He goes straight into your body and goes straight into your body hard. I think a lot of people have body shots now. I have gotten cross court slammed by like Glossman, by Anna, by Vivien David, Anna Lee. So I just think I think it's a normal shot, and yeah, it might be annoying and stuff, but I was a little bit more so confused on Thomas Shields' beef with Kwong. Me personally, I don't know. Like, I know people say, oh, his age. I think he's a sweet kid. He's 18 years old. He's always been super nice to me off court. Everybody's annoying to me on court. I don't like anyone on court, but him and his little brother have always been awesome, and they're 18, and I don't really think he has whole lot to say. But I don't think Thomas Shields has ever met him. So I think, but I think like if you were just walking around and you saw Kwong play, I think he represents the sport pretty well. Like, yeah, his line calls are bad, but multiple people's are. So I just think until electronic line calling comes in. I mean, look at Swiatek. She played a double bounce in front of everybody at the Australian Open in a big match. So like, you can't say that tennis players wouldn't do it too if they were calling their own lines.
Interesting.
So yeah, but to answer your question of best peg, that is Anna Leigh Waters. Anna Leigh Waters has a great peg because I think she connects on hers most. I don't whatever. I don't body bag because I think it's a high risk shot. I don't think people, I don't think people like connect on it too much. But I think Anna Leigh is very, very good at it. And she got Glossman. It was funny because she got Glossman really bad. I don't know if you guys were watching that match. And Glossman didn't care. That was like upper chest. Basically, I think Anna Leigh was just like, well, I can't speed up on her on the wings, and she's so tall. I'm just going to go as high and hard as I can. And it was a good shot. And I don't think Glossman cared. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Erik, who do you think has the best peg? Or as you like to put it, body bagging?
I honestly, I really like when Fed does it. He does it early. He doesn't do it often, but
I've
only seen him do it a couple times, but he does it early, and he does it off of a dead dink in the middle, and he usually goes cross court in men's, and I think it kind of sets up like, oh, can I curse?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got to be on the lookout for that. And then I think that helps him in his dinking a little bit. Again, he doesn't do it a lot, but the other reason I think it's the best is also because he will just wind up, hit the shot, body you, and then like just turns around, walks back to the baseline like nothing just happened, and like just plays the next point. And I'm just like, yes, okay, I'm here for that.
I think my favorite is Jay DeVilliers. I'd never actually seen him connect when he just like winds up super hard. He doesn't. He hits the net. It's so funny.
Anna
But
Leigh, I mean, if you watch Anna Leigh, she gets you. Like, I've done body bags.
She got Jay like really bad
times.
Yeah. That was a rough one. Yeah, everybody was like,
I mean, Hayden Patrick goes for some pretty wild ones. Like, so I think it's a shot, but yeah, no offense, Erik. I more so like Colin can have his opinion because he actually like plays against the guy and sees the guy and deals with the guy. I just thought it was pretty lame and unprofessional for like a podcaster trying to claim he's media to like go after an 18-year-old. Like, I think that was lame, more so.
Got it.
Fair enough. I'm pro pegging, just for the record.
I think it's fun. Like that Desert Ridge Zane match is still like my favorite match of all time.
That was a good one.
One time where I was like, man, this is fun. And finally in men's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Speaking of Ben, who we talked about in the beginning of this subject, big news for this year coming up. PPA Ben is no longer with Colin, as we all know. He is going to partner with Gabe for most of the year. There is some time where I think he's doing one tournament with Max Freeman and I think a few with Hayden Patriquin. But the big thing that everybody's talking about is how mostly he'll be playing with Gabe. So I'm curious to hear, what do you guys think is going to be the win percentage in the finals for Ben and Gabe? Do they even make the finals? Yeah. Like that's just assuming that they make it there.
Do we know how many tournaments he's playing with Gabe overall?
I don't know overall.
I did a little research. So there's no registrations after July. So for the first 6 months, they're playing 6 tournaments together, and he's playing one with Max.
One with Hayden.
I'm not sure if that one with Hayden. I think that one with Hayden is after July, but
no, it's Tucson. He's playing Tucson with Hayden.
Oh, is he? Okay, got it.
So let's say that they make it to the gold medal match 6 times. Out of those 6 times, how many do you think that they win? Lea, we'll start with you.
I'm gonna go 3 out of 6. I do think there's a question mark with the new partnership and how much court they're covering and getting used to stuff. And I think Ben playing with these erratic teenagers might just be a little bit surprised at what's coming at them. But I did hear, Ben's going to be in Boca, so maybe
Mhm.
that would, help them as well. But I do think there is something to the Ben and Colin synergy and stuff, but I could be proven wrong. They're definitely like a lengthy team and they can cover the court well. It's just a matter of like if they're going to get in each other's way to me.
Yeah. We did see him last year play with James Ignatowicz, and they didn't do too great. We also saw him
Yeah.
play with Matt Wright. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before, and they won a gold medal. So it
Yeah, he
does seem
plays
like
well
it's
with
a
Matt.
style thing. Yeah, exactly. Erik, what do you think? Out of 6 times in the gold medal match, how many do you think that they'd take?
Got it. Well, I'm going to go into a little analysis and then I'll give you my
Sure.
answer. I think people are going to dink a lot of middle and try to figure out where they're going. And I think they're going to go behind Ben a lot, kind of like they were treating JW a little bit when the JW and Gabe. So I think they're going to ISO Gabe out a little bit. And I think they're going to there's going to be some struggles there, right? Like at certain points, Ben has been playing for what? 3-4 years, I don't know, playing 70% of the court, and all of a sudden he's going to have to reel that back a little bit, and there's going to be an adjustment period. They're playing 6 times. Here's my prediction. I think they don't make the finals 2. I think they win 2 and they get silver in 2. And super hot take that's slightly associated, because men's doubles is so competitive right now, I don't think any men's doubles team wins more than 5 golds this year.
What teams do you think can take them out?
Hayden and Fed. Who's Christian playing with? Do you know?
Daysku.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think they could definitely win some. And it seems like the partnerships seem to keep. And I've been looking at the brackets. I think JW and Dylan are playing some again. I don't know if that's how they preload. I don't know if that's the preloaded ones or if they are playing together. But I think the teams are.
I don't think they were
right
I don't think they were preloaded together though. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's I think JW and Dylan will continue to be a very tough team. Yeah, I actually think some teams should actually just try Gabe out and see if he'll do something wild and see if Ben
Yeah.
can get uncomfortable with the chaos. Obviously
Oh.
if they have that figured out, but I would maybe obviously play some middle, but I would really move the ball around and see if I can create some confusion and see if Gabe's gonna pull some crazy triggers. He's gotten a lot better at it though, honestly, since he's been playing with Jesse. Jesse has made him much more disciplined.
Coach Jesse, nice. Okay. All right, let's move on. This next round, I want to keep these answers short, and I want you guys to just do your best to just put the answer out there, and let's just see how you guys feel about it. And if there is some disagreement, some heavy disagreement, we could have a little back and forth, but I'm curious to get your opinions on this. Out of all the women, who has the best hands? Besides Lea, of course. And besides Erik, of course. Wait, he's not a woman, so that doesn't count. Out of all the women out there, who has the best hands? Erik, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with Tyra. I think her backhand is very good. Her reload is very good. And I think she has quick hands.
Lea, agree, disagree?
Yeah, I mean, I would say hands are there are just a couple girls that I think about speeding up on, and mainly in places where I just know I'm going to get stuffed. And, I'm not they don't seem too shocked a lot of the times. Anna Bright's one of them. I think when she sees it, she's on it and she's hard to really get some stuff past. And obviously when she's initiating, she's very good. You got to say Anna Lee. Who else? Trying to think. Glossman's got some heavy hands if you don't body her up.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, I it's hard to say without any stats and not real clear stats, because real clear stats takes oh, someone has a sky high pop up and someone just gets absolutely pegged. -1 on hands. Like, so,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. If I were just to say like I think most about Anna Bright being in front of me in women's.
Erik, if you think Anna Bright and Tyra go head to head, hands battle, you really think that Tyra's coming out on top?
Probably not. No.
Oh.
But I mean, here's the thing. Like,
Well, it's different though because Tyra stays alive, but she like will
Yeah.
like back up. You know what I mean? But
Right.
I'm just saying, like I've seen Anna Lee really take it at her, and she'll like double drive from the transition zone, kind of like pull a Kwong at her sometimes.
and
Where, and I think Anna covers middle much better. Anna really covers middle well.
yeah. The other thing to think about here in women, especially with women's hands, and when I was thinking about this, there are a lot of women that play 2 to 4 feet off the line like all of the time. And so I don't know if I consider that having the best hands. Like I think of the women that play up at the line and try to like counter you as having better hands. And so there's not as many of those either. Like
Yeah.
Rachel rips the ball. Rachel rips the ball, right? Like she hits the ball very hard, but she's usually 3-4 feet off the line, just ripping the ball. And she wins that, but I don't know if I necessarily consider that like a hands battle type of thing when
You
you're
know,
going back and forth.
I got one who I don't know what other people think about this, but I think there is a certain spot on Megan Dazan that I can get quite a bit. But if I'm just like speeding up out of the air and she sees it, like I think Megan Dazan has very good hands and her forehand counter is pretty wicked.
Do you want to say that certain spot? Just kidding.
It's a secret. All right, cool. Let's see. Let's do one last question for you. I want you guys to rank your top 5 lefty men. There's a lot of debate out there with the lefty men. Lea, we'll start
How
with
many
you on this
lefty
one.
men are there? How many lefty men are there?
Let's name them all. So we got Tyler Loom,
I could name like
Rafa,
9.
we got Augie. Who else is lefty?
CJ,
Jack Monroe.
Oh, CJ, duh. Yeah, and Jack Monroe.
Max Freeman. Oh, I didn't even think about Jack Monroe.
Donald Young and
You
Rafa
might
Hewitt.
Okay. So number 1, I had Augie. I think he is the most consistent. And I think like if he really had a good left side mixed female partner, he's getting really good at mixed. Each time I've played him, I've been very impressed. So I'm gonna go Augie, and also like he's been making deep runs at tournaments. And that's kind of what I'm going off of. Just people who I feel like are making deep runs and playing well and mixed as well. Number 2, I went CJ. He's had some silver medals. He's brought with James Ignatovich and all them. Number 3, I'm going Pablo. I feel like Pablo as a men's player is still valuable. I don't know how into mixed he is, like a lot of guys. I'm not saying like not into, but I think a lot of them just practice men's, and he's still a good mixed player. I just think guys are more susceptible to their female partners on the left, and that's a little bit tougher for us.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Number 4, I'm going, this might be a tie between Jack Monroe and Max Freeman. I originally had Max Freeman. It's the Ben Johns choice. I've played a few with Max. His highs are very high. He has a very good smoothness. I think we're gonna see like either a big jump or a plateau. I hope a big jump. I think he's a really hard worker and a great guy. And then Jack Monroe, I guess, would round out my top 5, but I did have Tyler Loom there. So I guess maybe he'll slide down. I don't know. It's hard to see because Jack doesn't play PPA, but I've seen him in Austin and stuff like that. Stuff like that. I think he's also playing with Will House at APPs, so it remains to be seen. We'll call number 5 a tie between those 2.
Yeah. Okay. Erik, any
I'm just going
disagreement
strictly off of medals.
Okay.
Here we go. I put a premium on like recency bias because certain players are playing better, and like if you got a medal last year, like late last or early last year, then it shouldn't be as much right now because pickleball's changing so much.
Yeah.
I do have a very different order. I got CJ first. He just won gold, and I thought he played well for New York. I have Pablo second. He got 9 medals last year. And now here's the other thing that I need to say about ranking lefties, right? Like a lot of it also depends on the partners that you're getting. And
That's what I mean. Pablo's had the best
like
partners.
Pablo should be Pablo should be getting the most medals, and he did. Like, he's doing the things he should be doing for sure. His play with the aces is kind of what I know. Maybe you want to include MLP. I wanted to, so he didn't play that well with the aces in Challenger, and so I brought him down a little bit.
How much was a motivation thing though? I can't blame him.
Like,
I can't blame him for that one. I mean, I would be having a worse attitude, let me tell you.
Yeah. Got it. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Third, I have Augie. So obviously he played phenomenal in MLP, and especially in the playoffs, like lights out. But he was super duper streaky last year. Lea, I have a question for you. You ready? So he played 17 tournaments on PPA last year. How many of those do you think he made it out of the round of 16?
I don't know. I know he only medaled at 3 of them, which I was a little bit surprised. But he's also not getting. He was playing with AJ Kohler a lot at the beginning of last year. The ones he had with Jaume, he did well. The one he had with Connor Garnett, he did well. And then he had a few good female mixed partners, though. I know he had a couple with Etta. I don't know how they did.
What was the answer, Erik?
He did really well. Here at Desert Ridge, that was like his breakout with Tyra too, in mix. But in men specifically, he got. Let me see. He got the 3 medals, but other than that, he missed the quarterfinals 14 out of 17 times. So like he had some really good play, but like just didn't. There was a span there in the middle of the year where he didn't perform, and again, to your point, partners and all of those things.
He definitely plateaued, and I think being on the Flash around like Julie and them like really helped him, and he saw a big uptick at the end of the year. So I'm more so on recency bias in the fact of like I saw him play at the end of the last year, and every time I played Augie in mix, I've been like, he's pressuring, he's pretty solid, you know. Good thing, like when he played with Tyra, they beat Jack and I both twice. His defense is really insane. So I more so think as like a well-rounded player, if he gets like him and Tyra played 10 tournaments together, I think they're going to do well.
So those are the top 3. So go ahead.
Fourth, I have Tyler, and he only got 1 medal last year. And he is consistently making the quarters, but not as much after that. And then fifth, I have Jack Monroe, and Jack is like it's so frustrating for me to like rank players when they're not playing PPAs. And so I think he's good. He might even be higher, but it's really hard when you're not like he's winning the matches he should with Will and with Megan on the APP. But like, where would he land? Where would they land regularly on the PPA? And I do think I've heard everything great about Max, and I think he's got like superstar potential type from everybody I'm hearing. But I just haven't seen him play enough and haven't seen any results.
Yeah, that's my bias. Because I've played with him a couple of times, and we've had some pretty solid. We've made the quarters both times, and we've lost to the eventual champions. So that's the reason why there. And I think more from a mix front is why I had Tyler at 5. Just because I don't know who he's, but I know he had a couple with Etta as well, and I just never really see him moving on in mix.
He had one with Jeannie Bouchard last year. Masters 2024.
She's getting better.
That was good. She is
getting.
I'm rooting for her so hard.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, her being really good in the sport is good for the sport.
Oh
yeah, absolutely, and she's athletic and stuff. Like she like it's just kind of, it's just kind of like Dominique. Like, do you want it? Like, kind of a thing. And I think Dominique does now, and I think it's good. It's exciting because those type of girls, like. Really athletic, very marketable. I think it's great for our sport.
Yeah, she'll get there. All right, we're almost towards the end here. I do want to give you guys just like 2 minutes each. I want you guys to just what really like drives you crazy about pickleball nowadays, whether it's MLP, PPA, or just, I don't know, just playing in general. Is there something that you just feel so strongly about, something you want to get off your chest? Lea, we'll start with you on this one. What have you been thinking about? What is it that you want to just go off and rant about for a few minutes?
My gosh, we should just do a whole segment, and I could have an hour. But my main rant, I could do a manifesto on this. I am so sick, and Colin John said this greatly. When I go into a match on a partnership, I look at my partner and I think, like, how can I make this person better? I am so sick of people playing the wrong sides. I'm so sick of people. If you don't have a backhand dink, get off the left side. If you don't have put away power, get off the left side. That would be like me coming out to Bill Belichick and being like, I'm a running back, but you know what? I want to be a quarterback. To be like, no, be a team player. I am so sick of it. People need to look at their skill sets. They need to look like where they can make their partners better and start working together as a team. Because it's pretty wild to me. It's on both men's and women's. It's in mixed. How guys think they need to be playing 500% of the court, and oh, God forbid the female goes on the left side and, like, you know, God forbid maybe I can like use my Yola and put a ball away. Nope. So I really think like pickleball needs to start working together at teammates, and you should look where your skill set is. And if you have no put away power, get the off the left side.
Let's go. Mic drop. Erik, first off, where do you think you belong after that? Left or right side?
I belong sitting fourth row watching from midcourt. That's where I belong.
There you go.
No, but this is like you saying like, oh, I don't want to sit here and watch. I want to go out there and I want to play on that court. You know, it's just like, okay, but dream big. How can we win this match though?
Right. No, 100%. I'm with you. Like sometimes when and also I just to that point, I think we're in an interesting point in pickleball right now in terms of coaching. There are a lot of people out there that think they're really good coaches. And so, but it's, how do I put this? There are a lot of players that are getting coaches, but then other than the singles, like you're also you're kind of coaching another team. I feel like we're getting to a point where we might see coaches for partners because you have like two coaches coaching something, and then all of a sudden you go, and then it's like, what are we doing here? And so I don't know if that's
where are these people gonna come from? Like, are we gonna get another senior pro or another like tennis convict that's just like, oh, I know tennis, so I know pickleball. Like, I'm so over coaches in pickleball. Like, I so am. I think it's such a.
I think it's where it needs to go.
Sport. Yeah, but they need to start knowing something. Like, my problem with coaches, and this is not in this sport, it's kind of like in every sport, they just like say it and they say, oh, no, I'm a coach, so I know. It's like it's so detrimental to the athlete if you don't know what you're talking about. And a lot of them don't know what they're talking about. So I honestly think there's like 3 to 4 good coaches. I'm happy Lucy and I have a great coach. His name is Matt Wright. And he's a great coach because he played at a high level and he actually knows the game. And I personally think you didn't have to play at the highest level. I actually think Ryan DeWidgeon is very good as well, but he does the work. Like every time I've talked to Ryan, he's got video. He plays with a lot of the players. He sees the ball. He goes to the tournament. He pays attention. I don't see very many people with his work ethic. It's the same thing with Kyle McKenzie. You can disagree on both of them of what maybe they have to say. Maybe it's not your style, but they do the work. I see so many freaking people come into pickleball and say like, I'm a coach, and they bring nothing to the table and they don't work at it because they just think they know because it's pickleball. And it's detrimental to like junior players. It's detrimental. Oh, I think Elise Jones is a great coach. I think what she's doing in Utah is great too.
Oh, interesting.
She's starting the juniors there. Yeah, and Elise is a great coach, and I think she's got a very motherly sense to her. I would have liked her as my coach when I was young.
Oh, yeah, she seems like she would be a great coach. That's great.
She really is. You couldn't yell at Elise. You'd be like, all right, I'll try.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff there. Erik, What are your thoughts? Any subjects where you feel that passionate about as well? Anything?
I'm not gonna drop any F-bomb. I might drop an F-bomb. We'll see. But I'm super passionate about MLP. And I'm an Excel nerd at heart. And so this next minute and a half, 2 minutes is for you, Samin. We need better stats in MLP. It can't be me, Matty Pickles, and Real Clear Stats making stats. We need real stats. So I have 4 bare minimum requests for you for the 25 year. Okay. First one, start listing player rankings by the game percentage they win. I don't care if a player won 60% of their points, but they won 25% of their matches. That doesn't mean anything to me. So let's list them by the percentage and then the point percentage. Fine. Okay, that's an easy one. Second one, create 3 tabs of stats where one is overall, one is gender doubles, one is mixed doubles. So we could see who's doing really well in their gender doubles and maybe not doing so well in mixed doubles, or vice versa. Also adds value for the broadcast. The broadcast can see, oh, they're 6-6 and now they're whatever and whatever. And this team is not. So add that. Third thing, create some more intriguing stats. I came up with 2 stats that I use throughout my articles this year. They're made up stats. They didn't exist, but I said, I think these are important. One was close match win percentage. So if a match got to basically a winner was by 2 points, then I tracked if you won more or less to see, like, in the clutch, are you winning more or not? And obviously that's not the best stat. I'm just saying it's a stat that, oh, this person lost 7 times if a match went to basically was won by 2.
Well, football has like red zone stats and stuff like that.
Right. And then also I made up a dominant score stat, and it was terrible. It wasn't great, but I tracked like how many times a team won 25 to like 16 or less. And in side out scoring, we could count how many times a team beat another team 11-3 or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. There's plenty of options, but like, I think the broadcasters need more stats, and selfishly, I wouldn't have to make all my stats. Fourth and final, this is definitely the most selfish one. I would really appreciate not personally marking down every single Dream Breaker point for every single player this year, and let's keep individual statistics on Dream Breakers so that we know how many points for and how many points against, and how many times they went 2-2, 3-1, 1-3, those types of things. So quick, like, let's get some more stats out there for the broadcasters, for the commentators. It'll help make better storylines. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I think it'd be very hard to
agree
disagree
with that one too.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with that as a player, but you don't have to deal with people on the wrong side as a player. So
I will say the Dream Breaker one to me is huge. I think it's a layup too for a stat to keep. You know, it's like, yeah. I want to see what did they just do? Did they go 4-0? You know?
No, listen. So I literally, I think there was 3,500 Dream Breaker points, and I tracked every single one of them last year. It is a lot more difficult than you think, because first of all, the commentators, if it's on Grandstand, the commentators sometimes said the wrong thing. Like, oh, she just went 2-2 when she went 3-1.
Yeah.
The scoreboard isn't always operated. So sometimes it was easy. It was like, oh, she went 3-1. Great. But then other times it's like I had so many wrong, and I had to watch each individual point over and over again. So it's not that easy.
Yeah, we need to step up the professionalism a little bit, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
We will.
All right. Well, this has been solid so far. I got one last thing before we both sign off, before we all sign off, all 3 of us. Next up, we are going to do partner body bag, winner off the net. So partner body bag, winner off the net. For those that don't know, we're going to play a little game. I'm going to give you guys both 3 choices. And out of the 3 choices, I want you to decide who you would partner with, who you would body bag, and who you would want to hit a winner off the net against. Lea, we're going to start with you on this one. So I'm going to give you these 3 choices. Your 3 choices are your teammates right now on the New York Hustlers.
That's a
Jack
good one.
Sock,
Yes.
Vivien Glossman, and Riley Newman. Who are you going to partner with? Who are you going to body bag? And who are you going to hit a winner off the net against?
Well, I'm gonna partner with Gloss, obviously, because I want to partner with her. I'll hit a winner off the net against Jack because that might get in his head. And I'll try and body bag Riley, but I don't want to body bag anyone. Riley's got the fastest hand, so he'll probably block it.
Fair enough.
How the team is, I was like, man, I kind of like this, but I know like by the end of the day, it might just be Vivien Glossman.
Yeah, who knows where we'll be at by the time this episode drops. So, all right, Erik.
Lea will be in Orlando.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I
No,
want that.
I'm just making that up.
Erik, coming to you now. Here are your three choices. We've got the Dink crew: Zane Nabertil, Thomas
come
Shields,
on now.
and Frank Yu, who, if you guys don't know who he is, he's at Honest Pickleball. He makes some funny content on Instagram. So, Erik,
He does, for sure.
what are those three? Who are you taking?
I'm definitely body batting Zane for sure, 100%. I'm gonna partner with Frank and winner off the net against Thomas.
Oh, Tom, I don't know what would insult Thomas more, the fact that you said you're not going to partner with him, or if you were to say you would body bag him.
Yeah.
Leia,
Ask him what his beef is with Wong. Ask him what his beef is with an 18-year-old.
I don't even remember what you're talking about, so I didn't comment on that. So I don't know what he said. So
go watch.
Okay.
I think we know that Leia would
I watched too much of that.
I'm sure I saw it. I just don't remember.
To go at an 18-year-old kid. I'm like, he has no choice. He has no choice.
Well, there you have it. All right. That is going to do it for us. This was a ton of fun. I feel like we talked about a lot of good stuff. How do you guys feel? Any closing statements? Anything you guys want to say before we sign off? Leia, we'll start with you.
No, this was fun. We should do it once in a while.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. Erik,
agreed.
Anything you want to say?
No, I had a good time.
Yeah, this is good stuff. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you back next week. Take care.
Forgiveness is more than saying sorry.